The other day I saw somebody wearing a t-shirt that said on the t-shirt, "The Philippines, the island of the smiles." And I thought that was a very catching t-shirt that this gentleman was wearing. And it reflects so much of the beauty of the country. And there's lots to smile about. The warm weather, the beautiful coconuts and pineapples and lots of other fresh fruits. The beautiful scenery, nature at its best, and friendly people everywhere. Smiles. Where does our joy come from? In the Gospel of Matthew, Matthew has a different understanding of where our joy comes from, a different reason for joy. He introduces us in chapter 2 to the concept of joy. And in the whole Gospel, joy will feature prominently throughout the entire Gospel. The first time that it appears in a very unique way. It's the story of the Magi. The Magi, in chapter 2, verse 10, the Magi, seeing the star, rejoiced. And there's good reason to rejoice. Here is a star, and we would rejoice at seeing the stars as well in all their beauty and splendor. But this is a special kind of joy. Matthew really wants us to invoke and to see what kind of joy this is. So he doesn't just say they rejoiced. What he actually says is they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. And that's a peculiar statement. Not only is this intense joy just joy. No, he says it is great joy. And he doesn't just say that it is great joy. He says it is exceedingly great joy. And he actually doesn't even say that it is exceedingly great joy. It is rejoicing with exceedingly great joy. It's the only time in the entire Gospel that joy is mentioned with so many attributes. He seems to repeat himself. He can't even find words to describe this incredible joy that these wise men had. And I wonder, what were they so joyous about? Obviously, the star, but what did it mean? They had just met with the people in the streets of Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the newborn child?" Maybe their joy is the response of the people. Maybe their joy is that their interview with Herod and the religious leaders had gone off very well. They were successful in their explanation of things, and people listened to them. Was that the reason for their joy? Or maybe we could say they were joyous because Herod accepted the truth and asked them to report back from this event that they were going to, the birth of the new king. But none of these actually is what the text says. They rejoiced when they saw the star. Not when all the other things that they had done before had ended. No, they rejoiced when something new happened, or when something renewed to happen in their story. The appearance of the star. And this star meant a whole lot more than just a dot in the heavenly sky. This was God's presence leading them. And that brought them joy. This was the joy that God was leading them again. We could put it into modern terms. They had met the church members in Jerusalem. They had talked to the preacher and pastor of the congregation in Jerusalem. And they had talked even to the president. But that was not where joy was to be found. The joy was when they saw the star, when they saw God leading them once again, when they saw God's presence renewed in their life. They were on their way to meet Jesus, and God was guiding them, and they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. God's presence is a true fountain of joy. It wasn't for these wise men, it wasn't a voice from heaven or a divine revelation, maybe a vision that they had at night that brought them this joy. It was God's presence in this seemingly very small way of just a star. It doesn't need to, we don't need in our life to have these humongous moments. They can be there and they will be there and they bring us joy. Sometimes it's the small ways in which God's presence is revealed to us and guides us in our life. My prayer for you this week is that you can experience God's presence as a joyous moment in your life